Welcome to Journeys, a series featuring in-depth conversations with visionaries shaping the landscape of real estate and destinations. We uncover the personal stories, challenges, and innovative approaches that have defined the remarkable careers of top executives and the unique properties they create. In this captivating episode, Journeys turns its spotlight on Ellie Chamberland, a real estate trailblazer known for her transformative placemaking marketing. Ellie reveals the strategy behind the Seaport, its offerings of incredible cuisine, shopping, live entertainment, and competitive gaming fun for locals and tourists alike. And oh my gosh, that view. Wait until you see it. Ellie is the VP of Marketing at Hughes, and she shares her professional story for us and the details of her leap into place marketing and real estate from an unlikely past. Children's publishing. She takes us on a tour of the Seaport and her highly successful, innovative approach to breathing new life into one of New York City's most iconic landmarks.
The Seaport is really where New York began. Like, this is the original neighborhood of New York, Port of New York. So it's this really unique place that's been part of New York City history for such a long time. And when we came in as, the steward of this neighborhood 13 years ago, the neighborhood had fallen into decline. Locals perceived it as a tourist trap and weren't coming here. Travelers saw it as an unsafe place to be. Sandy came in, 10, 11 years ago now and really decimated the area, did a lot of damage. And so as we were looking at the Seaport and trying to figure out, how do you revitalize such an iconic destination, we looked at it through a few different lenses. How do you embrace the history of this place and, continue to sort of hold that up as a pillar of the neighborhood, but do it in a contemporary way and in a way that's meaningful to people now and not, colonial Williamsburg or people dressed up and really trying to beat the history in your face. And then really thinking about what did New Yorkers want? How could we return the neighborhood back to New Yorkers and give them a destination that was their own, and then travelers and visitors would follow. So hospitality and food is like number one thing, right? It's like
what everyone wants.
It's what everyone wants. And what do we do when we're wanting to celebrate something or when we're having special moments in our lives? It's generally over food. And so bringing in and partnering with those kind of iconic chefs, Jean-Georges, Andrew Carmelini, how could we bring them in as sort of these anchor tenants or anchor experiences to sort of put us on the map first?
So tell me a little bit about the retail leasing strategy here and how it would differ from a place that isn't as historical.
Yeah, so when we look at our retail leasing, we have a couple of unique challenges and opportunities here in the neighborhood. Number one, the buildings themselves, because they are historic, the spaces can be small. And so that limits the retailers that you can bring in. Because we are a smaller neighborhood as well, we're not, Fifth Avenue or Brookfield or a traditional mall, there's sort of a limited number of slots. And so how do you fill those appropriately and balance the retail mix the right way? So again, with our focus on New Yorkers, what are the sort of amenities and the retail offerings that someone who lives in the neighborhood would need? So, as we talk about our retail leasing strategy, really thinking about, sort of like authentic New York experiences and businesses, but then also when we think about the locals and the community who's down here and building this neighborhood for New Yorkers, it's what do they want? What do they need in their daily lives? And so we have a nice mix now of things like, McNally Jackson Books, which is supporting people who live down here. It's this great bookstore. It's a New York brand, independently owned, so it's the perfect tenant. And then you have things like the boxing gym down the street, or the local, cookie maker who's owned by a bunch of young New York women who started their business really here at the Seaport. And so how do we bring those businesses in, and then how do we balance that with some more anchor tenants, things that are also going to help drive travelers down here. And what we've seen is, as we've sort of filled out our retail leasing strategy, it also supports the commercial office leasing as well. Because when we're talking about, especially in a post-COVID world, right, how do you attract workers into the office? How do you get them to come in? They want to be in a neighborhood that has amenities. They want to go to work in a place that's where they want to spend their weekends, where they want to go after work and hang out and grab a drink, or go shopping. And so we've seen with our commercial tenants, ESPN, with Nike, Alexander Wang, who relocated here after the pandemic, that is the draw for them to be in the Seaport, is because of the character and the charm and the amenities that the neighborhood itself offers.
It feels like the strategy of real estate used to be, if you build it, they will come. Mm-hmm. But then I look around here and I feel like this feels very purposeful. It feels like you are attracting people in a way that you're thinking about what would our tenants want, whether it's commercial or retail, and how do we attract people?
Yeah.
Was there an intentionality behind the different tenants you brought in?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the benefits of us as a developer, kind of crafting sort of the experience of the neighborhood, is that we're able to place tenants next to each other that align, right? So you as a business coming in, you know who your neighbors are going to be, and you don't have to be worried about them swapping out at any point, because we're the ones that control that and are the ones that are able to sort of mitigate those potential pain points for retail tenants.
So we're here at the Tin Building, and I know this has both historical meaning and special meaning. So I'd love to hear a little bit about John George and what this means to the Seaport.
Yeah, so the Tin Building was originally part of the Full Fish Market, which opened here in the Seaport in the late 1800s and relocated to the Bronx in 2005. And so the building itself, over the years, it's sort of fallen into disrepair. But it was a landmarked building. And so how do you redevelop a landmarked building and turn it into something that's, contemporary, another place for New Yorkers that can also drive, visitors here? And so our approach with the Tin Building was to partner with John George. He tells this great story about when he first arrived to New York City, getting off the plane and coming to the Tin Building, and this is the first place he came, to buy fish, and he came here every day as a chef. So it held special meaning for him, and so he was just the perfect partner. When we thought about how do we sort of reimagine the Tin Building, not only physically with the development did we have to make changes. We lifted it up above the floodplain, pushed it back from underneath the FDR, but the building itself is a replica of the original structure.
Tell me a little bit about what brought you here.
The basics of marketing, the fundamentals of marketing apply no matter what industry you're in.
Yes, I need to know, what is placemaking? How do you define it? I saw it on your LinkedIn.
When I came to the big city and that was my first job here, it was just a really, really exciting experience.